Hey, what's up YouTube? Down the Smartphone Guy coming back at you with another video, and today I want to share with you my first impressions of this year's most budget-friendly Android Wear 2.0 watch. This is the Ticwatch E. So I've actually had this watch now in hand for 24 hours, and I want to share with you my first impressions of this watch that you can currently pick up right now on Amazon.com for under $130. So think about that, an Android Wear 2.0 watch for under $130. That price is good until Black Friday as far as I know. After that, the price goes back up to $160. So this is the Ticwatch E. There is also a little bit higher end version of this watch called the Ticwatch S. So if you're interested in that one, it's available for $160 right now on Amazon, or the regular price will be $200. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Ticwatch E. All right, so before we get too far into this, I just want to make some clarifications for those of you who may be a little bit confused about some of the different Ticwatches that are available. So first of all, last year's version of the Ticwatch is still available on Amazon. You can see it's $200 here. So that's called the Ticwatch 2, which last year I called that one of my favorite. See, look at that. It's still my favorite smartwatch. That was 6 months ago that I wrote that review, or I made that review. And I would say that the Ticwatch 2 still is a very good smartwatch. Now, we'll talk about some of the differences between that watch and what you get this year. But this year they came out with two different watches. They came out with the Ticwatch E and the Ticwatch S. Now, there are going to be some differences between the two, but for the most part they're very similar. You can see the Ticwatch E right now is available for $130. The Ticwatch S is available for $160. Now, these are only limited time offers. I believe they're good until Black Friday. After that, they go back up to the $160 price point and the $200 price point. So I'll leave links down in the description if you're interested in picking up any of these three watches. By the way, they're both available, or all three are available in white, yellow, and as you can see, I have here black. So now let's go ahead and talk about the watch itself. So one major difference between last year and this year's Ticwatch is the fact that this year's version is running Android Wear 2.0. So that is the first major difference. The second major difference is that this year's version is definitely, at least the Ticwatch E, is a whole lot more budget friendly when it comes to the materials. And I say that, I'm kind of saying that it's a little bit more cheaply made, and there's a reason for that, but let's go ahead and talk about that. So first of all, on the back here, last year's version was made out of ceramic and it had Qi wireless charging, so that ceramic was allowed for Qi wireless charging, whereas this year we have a plastic back, and you can see that we're using pins now to charge it versus Qi wireless charging. So you're downgrading the charging, downgrading the material here, but obviously a much more budget-friendly price. Now, same thing with the front here. Last year's version was made out of metal around here, so all this bezel piece would have been made out of metal, whereas this year it's just a really hardened plastic. And again, we still have the same button over here on the left. Now, last year we did also have the tickle strip, so that allowed you to kind of use it as a scrolling. That is not available on the Ticwatch E or the Ticwatch S this year around. And one thing that I'm glad that they kept with this year's version of the Ticwatch E, at least, is that they do have removable bands, which was also available on the Ticwatch 2. But with the Ticwatch S, you actually have GPS built into the bands. Now, they say that having GPS built into the bands is actually going to give you more accurate GPS. And I'll kind of address that a little bit as we go on in this review. But I will say that so far, in the one run that I've gone with this Ticwatch E, it was very, very accurate in terms of the GPS. So we'll talk about that a little bit more later. Now, some of the things that they added to this year's version, obviously, we already talked about they added Android Wear 2.0. That was not included in last year's version. It had its own OS. It was called Tic OS, which actually was very good, but it was limited in terms of the apps that you could add to it. So another thing that they added was better water resistance. So this time you can actually go for the shower. Technically, you could go underwater with it with an IP67 water certification. It's definitely not recommended. You shouldn't go swimming with it, but technically, if you fell in the pool, it'd be just fine. So that IP67 water certification allows it to be underwater for about 30 minutes at 1 meter depth. So that's what the IP67 water certification means. We do have a pedometer again, we have proximity sensor, and we do also have the heart rate sensor that you can see here. So let's go ahead and now talk about the watch itself. So some of the differences between the Ticwatch and regular Android Wear watches. So everything else is basically Android Wear 2.0, but there are some things that are slightly different, so we'll talk about those things. So if you hit the button, obviously you're going to go into your menu of apps. So some of the things that they add in here is that they add in their own fitness app, which is actually a direct carryover from last year's Ticwatch 2. So this is the exact same app that you would have gotten with the Ticwatch 2. So all the stuff here, you can see that it's a little bit limited. So you have cycling, you have freestyle, you have an indoor run, and you have an outdoor walk and an outdoor run. So those are the options you have built into the actual fitness app. Now, of course, you can use whatever fitness app you want. This is Android Wear 2.0, so if you want to use Runkeeper, if you want to use Runtastic, Endomondo, Strava, whatever, you can use those. If you want to use Google Fit, that's available here as well. But some of the other things that they add, I think that really is about it. Everything else in terms of Android Wear 2.0 is basically the same. Now, I guess technically the flashlight is their own version, but really you don't notice any different. It's basically just lighting up the screen. That's all it does. So that part is the same. And then they do add in all of their own carryover from the watch faces from last year. So last year's Ticwatch, one of my favorite watch faces was this one right here, the calendar. Basically just shows the battery life, your step count, and then just basic information there. So these are all carryover watch faces from the Ticwatch 2. And if I go over here into the other watch faces, these are also all carryover watch faces from the Ticwatch 2. But of course, you can get just about any watch face you want using Android Wear 2.0, and we'll look at that in just a little bit. But for the most part, this is pretty much a standard Android Wear 2.0 watch. Now, what is this missing? So it does not have NFC, so for those of you that are hoping to get some NFC for pay or whatever, that is not available, but it does have, of course, Bluetooth 2.0. Or sorry, Bluetooth 4.1, I should correct myself there. We do have GPS built in, so you can take this on a run. It has 4 gigs of onboard storage. We're looking at a 1.4-inch display that's 400 by 400 in terms of the pixel count, but everything else basically is just standard Android Wear 2.0. So just some of my notifications, of course, you're going to respond to them just like you would in Android Wear 2.0 on any other watch, so no difference there. Yeah, so let's go ahead and jump into the settings here real quick. So we can, of course, have always on display, which is what I've been using. So far, battery life has been pretty decent. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. We can just change some sound notifications. So it does have a built-in speaker. The speaker is actually right under this watch band right here. And then we also have microphones over here, and I believe there's actually, nope, okay, so it's just the one over there. But then there's also something else right here. I'm not exactly sure what that piece is right there. I've been trying to figure that one out, so if anyone knows what that piece is for, let me know. But the speaker is definitely coming down here out of the bottom, so you can technically listen to music. Obviously, alarms will come out of there. Of course, we have a vibration built-in, vibration motor built in as well. We can go into apps, and of course, you can add any Google Play app that's available on Android Wear 2.0 to this watch. So you can see I've only added 2 apps, so I've put on some of my own music, and I did use Bluetooth headphones with the watch. Worked great for my first run. So far, so good on that end. But of course, we have all the regular system apps as well. We'll get out of that. We do have some gestures built in, same thing that you would get on any other Android Wear 2.0. So we have tilt to wake. We have some wrist gestures. Basically, those wrist gestures are going to allow you to scroll using your wrist, which I don't really find all that useful personally. We have connectivity, so we have Bluetooth, we have Wi-Fi, of course we have airplane mode, and then we have location. So one of the things I'll mention is that they've added in basically all of the GPS signals that you could possibly want. So we have, in this case, GLONASS, we have GPS, we have Baidu, and technically it is also a GPS supported as well. So far, GPS has been very good on the Ticwatch E. Now, again, they say that the Ticwatch S is supposed to have better GPS because of having the GPS built into the bands, whereas with this one, it's built right into the watch. I can't really speak to that. Obviously, I don't have the Ticwatch S personally, but Then we have over here some just personalization options. So we do have I'm not going to say it, but obviously it works. So they did get rid of their own. So they actually had a version of their own last year, but this time they're going to go directly with Google's version. So we can use that, of course, as long as we're on Wi-Fi or it's connected directly to your phone. So I have it connected to my Pixel 2 XL. And that's pretty much it. So that about covers everything on the watch itself. Now let's go ahead and take a look at some of the things you can do on your phone with the watch. So I have some apps already loaded up here. So we have, of course, Android Wear. So if you want to add some watch faces, of course, Android Wear. There's all kinds of apps available that you can build your own customizable watch faces. But then there's just a bunch of watch faces available already on Android Wear 2.0. So these are just the ones that are already available on the watch. But of course, you can use Watcher, you can use Facer, anything basically that's available on Android Wear 2.0 you can get for a watch face on this watch. So that's one thing I'll mention. But of course, you can add in a ton of apps using the Play Store directly on there. So if you want to play games on there, for some reason, if that's a thing for you, I don't play games on my watch. It's just not a thing that I do. But then the other app I wanted to mention is the Ticwatch app itself. So this is the app you're going to use if you want to use the built-in fitness app on here. So I did really like the fitness app that was built into the Ticwatch 2, so I went ahead and stuck with that for my watch. So I went ahead and downloaded the Ticwatch app that supports the fitness activities on here. So you can see that it displays some of the information that you have here. So you can see it's connected. Of course, we have our watch battery indicator up there. But this is the health center, so it looks kind of like what you'd get on the Apple Watch. So it just shows some of the steps, some exercise, calories burned. So that's active calories burned through the day, just the distance you traveled. And then you can see here, this is the run I went on. So this was dead on. I mean, this was exactly a 4-mile run, and it was 1/100th of a mile off. Now, of course, that could be I just stopped the watch too soon or whatever. I mean, that is really an anomaly. So, I mean, this was a 4-mile run that I know for certain is exactly a 4-mile run, and it was pretty much dead on. So, heart rate seemed very accurate. I wore it on my left wrist. Right now, I just have this watch on, just because I have a great big white mark on my wrist if I don't wear a watch. But everything was pretty much dead on. You can see it gives you your heart rate, gives you your pace per mile, so you can see just some of the pace information, some step frequency information, step length. I'm not really sure how that's not really useful for me. You can see the actual route that you traveled. So all the information that you would want out of a watch. Now, one thing I will mention also is that, like, let's say that you want to try this out, but you want to be able to send this information over to another app. Like maybe you're used to using Strava. Now, obviously, you can put Strava directly on this, but I actually made it so this will actually send the information from this watch over to Strava. And I believe that was up here somewhere, maybe. I can't remember exactly where I did that. So that's just for pairing it. So somewhere in the watch, I believe, I can't remember exactly where it was. So we have step goal. Yeah, I don't see it in there anywhere. But I know that somewhere in here, I was able to actually get it to connect directly to Strava. Maybe it wasn't in here. Maybe it was actually on the watch itself or in Android Wear 2.0. I know it wasn't in Android Wear, so it had to be somewhere in this watch, in the actual app. So maybe it was just in the setup process. But anyways, I have it so that it's actually sending all of the information. When I finish a run, it sends it directly to Strava, sends it directly to Runkeeper, another app that I've used in the past. So that's really nice. I do like that option available. So anyways, a quick look at the Ticwatch. I did want to mention one other thing, and that's the battery life. So a lot of people have questions about the battery life. How's the battery life going to work out? So this is after a regular day of usage. So I will mention that battery life during the run. So I went for a 4-mile run, as you can see there. It took me, right around 30 minutes or just under 30 minutes. And I was started at 77%, and at the end of the run, I was at 65%. So in a 4-mile run that took me about half an hour using GPS and Bluetooth music, so I was listening to some music using Google Play. Whoops, if we go into here, and go into Google Play. I just downloaded some music directly from my Google Play. Um, what are they called? My Google Play playlist. So I downloaded them directly onto the watch, and so I was listening to music and also, of course, using GPS to track it, and it went down 12% during that 30-minute run. So just to kind of give you an idea. Now, in my usage so far, I've used the screen always on. So that's something that I really like. I like to be able to just not even have to flick my wrist up. I just like to have it always on. Now you can see that right now I have it tilt to wake, which technically if you have it always on, you don't even really need the tilt to wake, but that is an option available. So I've used always on. Obviously, I'm getting regular notifications. I've had it connected to my phone the entire time. So we're finishing a day. It's nearly midnight here, and I'm about 56%. Now, I will say that that's not actually a full day of usage. I believe I took it off of the charger around 10 a.m. this morning. So, in just over 12 hours, so about 13 to 14 hours, it's gone down 44%. So this is only the second full charge. I purposely just drained the crap out of it the first time to go from 100 to 0 and let it shut down, because they actually recommend that you do that to get the best and most accurate battery readings. So that is something that I did. And so at this point, after basically a 13-hour day of usage, I'm at 56%, and that does include a run and listening to Bluetooth music. So battery life seems pretty decent so far. Obviously, in my full review, I'll talk more about that. I'll talk more about whether the GPS stays accurate over the course of my usage. But so far, I would say this is a pretty fantastic watch. Obviously, build quality wise, it's a little bit of a downgrade definitely from last year's Ticwatch 2. But overall, I would say if you're just looking for a really nice budget friendly Android Wear 2.0 watch that you can take for a run with you, listen to some music, get some nice active readings out of it, this is definitely one to consider. So this is the Ticwatch E. Again, links down in the description. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them down in the comment section, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.